You know, in these coaching sessions, we talk a lot about stopping your overeating and becoming a natural eater, right? That is the way to weight loss. But what if you have trouble imagining being a natural eater because you can't visualize what that would even feel like? That's exactly what we're going to work on today. Hello, my friend. You are listening to Weight Loss Made Real, and this is episode 266. I'm your host, Master Weight Loss Coach and author, Cookie Rosenblum. Today and every Tuesday, I am your coach and your guide to help you stop overeating so that you can enjoy permanent weight loss and freedom from that whole struggle. If you just found me, welcome. And if you're a regular listener, welcome back. Are you a smart, busy woman who leads a pretty good life, but are baffled about why you just can't stop overeating? If the answer is yes, you are in the right place. This is where coaching meets psychology and psychology meets brain science. This is where your overeating ends and freedom begins. Welcome to your coaching session for today. Today, we're going to talk about what to do if you just can't really even imagine being a natural eater. You know that I talk a lot about your goals, not just for that number on the scale, but your 3 big goals so that you could stop overeating. Of course, you want to do that because ending overeating is what leads to weight loss. So the first big goal that you're aiming for is to become a natural eater, a woman who eats when she's hungry, stops when her body's had enough, and just very rarely overeats. Now, the second big goal for you is to learn how to manage your mind, understand your moods, not be reactionary every time that you're triggered to eat or you feel low and you want to resolve it quickly. And your third goal is being able to take really good care of yourself so food is not your best friend or that cozy blankie. To me, these are the ultimate goals if you're struggling with your overeating and your weight. But what if you can't even imagine being a natural eater? Now, there are 2 parts to this dilemma. You can't imagine that it's possible for you because you've never really been a natural eater and you don't really know what it would be like or look like or feel like to live this way. So you don't have a sense of what you're aiming for. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about your first goal, becoming that natural eater. What is a natural eater? Well, natural eaters go about their lives and they focus on whatever they're doing. They don't think about food all day long, and they don't imagine their next meal for a good part of the day. They don't worry and wonder if they're being good or bad that day with regards to how much and what they're eating. They do their thing, and then they notice when they start to feel hungry, that empty feeling beginning in their stomach. When they feel it, they start getting ready to eat, and that might mean prepping their next meal or getting ready to go out and pick up some food. They rarely think about food unless they're planning it or prepping it or eating it. Does this sound different from what you do right now? Natural eaters eat when they're hungry and they really enjoy their food, but they usually don't count calories or carbs or points, not even secretly, in their head. They don't feel guilty after they've eaten. They don't overeat because they're stressed. In fact, some natural eaters lose their appetite during times of heavy stress. If they don't like what they're eating, they'll just leave it and get something else, or wait until the next time they eat. When they are hungry, they don't get panicky and worry about not getting the food that they need immediately. Hunger feels okay to them, and it makes them look forward to their next meal. Now, by contrast, let's be honest here, and let's see what it might be like for you. If you can imagine going through your day, like I just described, and managing yourself and responding to your hunger, that is excellent. But I know that some of you can't imagine this for yourself. Here's why you might not be able to imagine this is a reality for you. Think about who your role models were when you were growing up. How did they eat? Did they eat by the clock? Did they worship delicious food? Did they reward themselves for being good, for being productive with food treats? Or did they use food to feel better when they were down? These are all opposite behaviors of natural eaters. Maybe your old role models used food more for reward and entertainment than for enjoyable nourishment. So no wonder it's hard for you to imagine eating based on your body's needs. And all those behaviors that I just described might be how you're currently eating. Now let's take a look at what kinds of eaters your circle of friends and family and coworkers are like right now. How do they eat? Maybe they use food to connect with other people, or to dull a disappointment, or to boost their morale. So if you've been surrounded by overeaters most of your life, it's really understandable that you don't have any real live role models to see how it's done. And it makes it hard to be able to imagine yourself being that natural eater. Sometimes we have friends who share the same overeating struggles with us, and we've never really been close with any natural eaters. When I talk about a natural eater, to you, it might feel like I'm talking about beings from another planet. And if this describes you, of course, it's going to be hard to visualize what you're aiming for. You just don't know anyone who really eats like that, so you can't imagine yourself doing it either. I want to go off here on a small tangent and just explain the difference between dieters with strong willpower and natural eaters. You may think that they're the same if they're not overweight. You may think, who cares how they do it as long as they reach the goal weight they want? It's very likely that most of the people in your circle don't really pay attention to their eating and possibly carry around some extra weight. These people are not natural eaters, they're overeaters. Or the people that you're thinking of pay very strict attention to what and how they eat, but they're disconnected from their bodies. So how much they eat depends on someone's outside advice, like a diet guru or a diet book that tells them what, when, and how much to eat. They get good at sticking with their eating programs and their eating goals by sheer force. So they armor up in the morning and then strongly commit to follow their plan, and often they do. But this is not your goal. This is not a relaxed way of living. This is living in constant struggle of ignoring your hunger to make sure that you keep your weight at a certain level, or even eating more than your body needs because it's a, quote, free food, or it's allowed, even though they're not really hungry. So your goal is not to become a perfect dieter to end your overeating. It's your goal to be a natural eater, even if you can't yet envision a role model to show you the way and inspire you. That's what I'm going to help you with right now. That's exactly what we work on in the Freedom Group, of course, in much more depth. So how do you make the switch? I'm going to walk you through your current beliefs about how you should eat. And we're going to take your current beliefs about not knowing how to eat in a comfortable way that still helps you be a natural eater, and we're going to put them side by side with new beliefs about what is possible for anyone. And then we can create your new beliefs about what is possible for you even if right now you can't imagine it. So let me walk you through the process of helping you imagine this important goal, this important vision to help you end your overeating. First, I want you to ask yourself, what do you believe right now? What do you believe about eating, about when you should eat, about turning down food, about being worried about whether food's going to be available when you're hungry? You might think and believe, I have to leave food on my plate, or I should never snack, or I can't turn down food if somebody offers it to me because I don't want to hurt their feelings, or I don't want to be the only one to not eat what everyone else is eating, or maybe your current belief is, well, this food is healthy, so I should eat as much as I want. So really think about this. What are your beliefs right now? Because your beliefs are what drive you to eat the way you eat. Now, next, I want to give you new questions to ask yourself. Remember, we're changing your belief. So ask yourself, how would it feel if I just didn't struggle? What if I just knew when I was ready to eat? What would it be like if I felt like I had enough and I could actually stop eating? What if I were able to turn down food that my body wasn't ready for without feeling deprived? That's a big one. Do you see what we're doing? We're looking into the mind of a natural eater. Because if you want to become a natural eater who does not overeat without the struggle, you can't continue to think from the outside in. Thinking from the outside in would be like asking, well, what do they eat? How much do they eat? What foods are allowed to them? These questions are way less important than asking, what does a natural eater think about eating? How do they know when to say yes to food and no to food? What do they do when they're stressed and they want to eat? And what do they think and feel that lets them eat in a disciplined but relaxed way? Imagine that, without using willpower at all. Willpower is not part of the equation. Do you see how different these kinds of questions are from what you've probably thought about natural eaters? I want you to ask yourself, can anybody do this? Of course, you know that answer is yes. Of course, there are people who just eat naturally without any struggle at all. They rarely overeat and easily maintain their natural weight. Ask yourself, what do they have or do or think that allows them to eat naturally? Remember, it's not that they have any special qualities that you lack. It's more about their thoughts and the feelings they have, and also it's about them being able to read the signals from their body. They know what physical hunger is and what it feels like, and they know what comfortably satisfied feels like. I think that we all like to think that our role models just eat different and special diets. And that's why we like to read what models and celebrities eat in a day. Did you ever see those articles? What a famous actress eats in one day. We love those articles because we think that what to eat is the secret, like the magical key to solving the problem of what to eat so we could stop overeating and lose weight. But that's not a natural eater. At this point, you know that it's way more than just what to eat. It's when and how much. When we look at celebrities, we're not used to wondering what they think that allows them to eat just enough and then stop and be satisfied. We're used to thinking, ooh, give me the list of what she eats. I want to do that. I want to be like her. Are the people that you could see who might be natural eaters, Are they special in the world relative to you? Well, they might have more fame and they might have more money than you and I, but inside they're human just like us. They have brains like us. They have stomachs like us. So here are your steps to start being able to become a natural eater. We have to be able to first have that vision of what we want, right? Because that's what you're working toward. That's what motivates you to keep going. You want to be able to see this vision and feel excited to create it for yourself because you think it will feel so good when you get there. And it will, yes. Not struggling with your eating and your food and your weight does feel really good. So look at some natural eaters in your own life and see if you can use them as a role model, as an inspiration. Remember, your goal is to become and live just like a natural eater so that you can be free from this giant daily struggle. Think about the people you know. Think about the people you work with. Think about family members. Think about friends. I've heard some Freedom Group members say that they literally couldn't think of a single adult who was a natural eater and didn't use diets or willpower to maintain their weight or lose their weight. So if you feel this way, let's expand the playing field here. Think about children you know who have not yet been trained to eat for comfort or entertainment. They might have delicious food right in front of them, but if they've had enough, they have no interest in it. They just want to get away from the table to go play. They're not forcing themselves to do that like dieters do. They're just wanting to stop naturally because they're no longer hungry. Another way to imagine how it is to be a natural eater if you don't have any people models is to think about the pets in your life. Pets eat when they are fed, right? They may enjoy a treat as a reward, but they usually don't overeat unless you've trained them to do that, unless you're in the habit of overfeeding them. And maybe we all give our pets a little too many treats sometimes, and a lot of times they take them with gusto. But think about animals in the wild. Animals in the wild are not overweight. They eat to satisfy their hunger and they move on. They don't eat just in case there won't be food later. They don't eat from habit or from emotions. What if the food is really delicious? Can anybody ever leave any food? Children definitely do, unless we instruct them to clear their plates, and I don't think that is a good idea. My dog Henry is pretty food motivated, but he eats when his stomach is empty. He comes to me at exactly 5 p.m. each evening and right when he wakes up because he's responding to the messages from his empty stomach. Now, finally, here are some thoughts to help you imagine and believe that the goal of becoming a natural eater is absolutely available to you right now. You can find one of those role models and tell yourself, if she can become a natural eater, so can I. Maybe that person never really had this struggle, but I'm working on this until I learn how to eat the way they eat. You can think, I am figuring out how to eat naturally, not from outside rules, but from my body's own signals of when I need food and when I've had enough. Here's what I want you to try on this week. Who in your life is a natural eater? Maybe it's that relative or friend or coworker, or maybe a child, or yes, even that pet. Notice how they treat their food. Notice how sometimes they turn down food. Sometimes they leave food even if it's really good. And they rarely complain about being stuffed because they stop before that happens. Just notice and know that this is what a natural eater does. This is your goal. And then start to imagine you doing those things too. If they can do it, you can learn to do it. All right, now you know what you're going to think about and do this week. Please grab a free downloadable copy of my book, Clearing Your Path to Permanent Weight Loss, because you need to better understand why you overeat so you can stop. Go to weightlossmadereal.com/gift or click on the link in the show notes. I want to see you back here next week, where we will continue to work on your overeating until it becomes something that you used to do, because we know that's your ultimate goal. So for now, this is your Coach Cookie reminding you that as you search for answers, keep it real, just like you. You are in the right place right here. And I'll see you next week.